What's up, YouTubers? Brass cased, steel cased. How do I decide? I guess this is more geared toward beginners, but I guarantee there's going to be some points that resonate with everyone. Because I got asked this the other day in a comment, and I was actually at the range yesterday, and I had an old timer, God bless his soul, love the guy. He said that you shouldn't shoot brass case crap; it's going to hurt your gun, and stuff needs to be talked about in this one. So that's the point of the video. But before we get started, YouTube's coming after our Second Amendment voices. Let's be clear. They want to shut us down on YouTube. So I think the way we let them know that we want to be heard and we want to see these videos and we support each other is by subscribing, liking, thumbs up, and being active on these videos, commenting. Let them know that we care, we like them, right? So out of the way. Steel versus brass. All right, so I slice this up logically by kind of like a math problem. So first of all, let's define steel cased ammo, brass case ammo. There's kind of, for the purpose of this argument, I think there's three types we should consider, really. So there is steel cased. Let's put three categories. One is like Russian ammo, like the cheap steel cased bimetal jacket. So the stuff that's in a steel case, and the projectile would stick to a magnet if you touch it on the projectile. So what that means is there's not just a full copper jacket on those projectiles. There is some mild steel wrapped around the lead core, from my understanding, and then there's copper over the outside of it. So it's not just a copper jacket, right? So, and then there's a steel case. So we have bimetal steel case, and then we have steel case ammo that has a full copper jacket. So that's a completely different category. You'll see Hornady training ammo like that, and some of the Russian companies now are making indoor range friendly, non-magnetic projectiles in the steel cases. So you got basically the Tula and Wolf steel cased ammo, but you got a full copper jacket around the projectile so it won't stick to a magnet. So that's the second category. So we got bimetal jacketed projectile, steel case, and then we got steel case with a non-magnetic projectile. And then we have brass cased with a non-magnetic projectile. So there's three. So we got brass cased, we got steel non-magnetic, and then steel magnetic, right? So three different comparisons. Now, the way I think about this, when I go off of, there's a study on the web. I want to say it was done kind of by Lucky Gunner. I don't know. I don't quote me on that one. But there's an article, you can go find it on the internet, about legit tests of like how many thousand rounds it took before steel case ammo wore out a barrel. Because that's kind of the one thing that I really think about, right? The steel case ammo with the bimetal projectile, the one that'll stick to a magnet. The real concern is that stuff puts premature wear on the rifling in your barrel. So if you at a certain point, your rifling is going to be smoothed out and there's going to be very little left, and it's going to cause accuracy problems, right? So that's kind of the big concern. Or it's going to wear out the throat of your chamber, like right past where the bullet exits the chamber, right? So those things are going to dramatically affect your accuracy, and that's when people consider your barrel shot out, right? So that's kind of I guess the biggest concern in my mind anyway about shooting the cheaper Russian ammo is the cost of your barrel. So if you think about it straight like a math problem, you literally have your barrel cost or cost of a replacement barrel versus how much you could save by shooting the steel cased ammo. That's kind of how I look at it. And then so you have to also think about if you're going to be able to replace that barrel yourself, or if you're going to have to get somebody else to do it, etc. So that's another concern. So the math problem goes like this for me anyway. So that the experiment that people did with Russian steel cased ammo, I think they ended up shooting around 7,000 rounds when they considered a barrel shot out, to where the groups opened up and they were really wide groups. So 7,000 rounds. That's kind of a worst case scenario, but I'll use it for the sake of argument, because the the way they ran that test is they legitimately shot those rounds as fast as they could pull the trigger for 7,000 rounds, which dramatically increases the rate at which the rifling gets degraded. So the faster you shoot, the hotter the barrel is, and when metal gets hot, it erodes more quickly and wears more quickly. So they got them extremely hot and kept shooting them, and the fact that they were so hot probably accelerated the rate of wear a lot. So you could probably, in real life, you could probably, if you were just a whatever, shot your gun on regular intervals, you could probably get several thousand more out of it before the barrel's shot out. But let's use 7,000 just for argument's sake, right? Now, let's talk about the price of 1,000 rounds. So right now you can get 1,000 rounds of like Barnaul or something, whatever you call that brand of Russian, like steel case, bimetal jacketed ammo for right around 205, 210, somewhere like that. So plus shipping, you're ending up around 22 cents a round, something like that. So 22 cents a trigger pull. So 220 for 1,000 rounds. Okay. Brass case, kind of the cheapest you're going to get it if you find free shipping right now is 27 cents a round or something like that. So 270 times 1,000, or I mean 270 for 1,000 rounds, right? So the difference in price is like $50 for every 1,000 rounds. So let's do that times 7 because we're shooting 7,000 rounds. Again, worst case, you could probably go 8, 9, 10 before you shoot out, but let's just use 7. So your savings is $50 on 1,000 rounds, and you go 7,000. So 7 times 50 is $350. Well, depending on the cost of your barrel, $350 for a replacement barrel is what you've done at 7,000 rounds, right? So depending if you want to mess with it or not, maybe you can, I mean, you can get cheap barrels for like $200 or so. And let's be real, these are battle rifles and we're shooting steel case ammo. Or you're even considering steel case ammo, not a match gun. I don't care how accurate that barrel is. If it's within a ½ inch more accurate than the next barrel, I'd rather save the money and get a cheap barrel if it's a battle rifle like that and I have a red dot on it. I don't care how accurate the barrel is, honestly. I mean, there's a point where it's ridiculously inaccurate, but there's a point where we're reaching diminishing returns if we spend like $400 on a barrel that we're going to just put a red dot on and don't care about accuracy, right? So let's say we're back to the math problem. We saved $350 over 7,000 rounds, which we're probably going to get that number bigger because we're probably going to shoot 9,000, 10,000 because we're not shooting them so fast. So you could have probably bought 2 replacement barrels by the time you hit 7,000. So I think that argument is pretty hard to go against, honestly, especially if you can change your own barrel. If you have a torque wrench or understand how hard you should be torquing a barrel nut down and you have a vise, then I think that argument is really speaks for bimetal jacketed ammo, right? Because I mean, if you could replace your barrel twice up to that 7,000 round point with the amount of money you saved on the ammo, just makes sense to shoot steel cased ammo because you save money, right? Bottom line. So, all right, that's just for the bimetal jacket. Now, let's talk about other problems with steel case ammo problems, right, that some people talk about. So steel case ammo is also more difficult on an extractor. Extractor is round goes into the chamber. That's the back of the round, like bolt faces on the back of the case, right? There's a hook like this that goes around the rim of the case that pulls it back out of the chamber. Bang, when the gas pushes the bolt back, it rips that shell out. That hook is around the case of the shell, pulls it like this, and then hits the ejector and flips it out of the chamber or the upper receiver, right? That extractor going over and hooking and pulling and ripping on steel versus brass. Brass is a lot softer, so it could potentially wear your extractor or break it a lot more quickly. It could do it tomorrow. But extractors cost $15. I've been shooting steel case ammo for 20 years in AR-15s. I've never broken an extractor. I've shot a lot of it. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow now. I don't know. But they cost $15. and you can take the pin of your bolt out and pull that. It's super easy to replace an extractor with a YouTube search and a one punch. In fact, you don't even need a punch. You can do it with like household stuff. So I struggle with that argument. That's what the old timer said to me the other day yesterday at the range. She was like, "Hey, you're gonna break your extractor." I said, "Yeah, but I'm saving 75 cents a round because I was shooting Grendel." And I mean, if you get brass case Grendel, you're paying almost $1. If you get Russian Grendel, I paid 24 cents a round. So I'm saving 75 cents a trigger pull. So in 20 trigger pulls, I just bought an extractor with my savings. So that's kind of how I rationalize that argument versus it's going to wear your extractor. Don't care because of $15, whatever. I save a lot of money. At 1,000 rounds, I save 50, right? Whatever. So that's how I think about that argument. Reliability. So reliability is another concern with steel cased ammo, because brass cased ammo, there's a certain effect where explosion in the chamber, the brass expands and touches the chamber walls, and then it comes back, it shrinks back down. There's a certain timing between the whole explosion, expansion, and extraction of how long that bolt face is closed on the chamber, and the gases have time to explode in front of it and project your bullet out, right? So it's a timing thing. It's sensitive. Steel cased ammo doesn't have the same effect. We're getting really nerdy now, by the way, because I've been running steel cased ammo for years, and it functions in all my guns. So people argue that stuff, but just look at the reality of the scenario. The chances of it causing malfunctions for that reason are relatively slim, I want to say, because I just haven't seen it. And then there's another potential for malfunctions with steel case ammo because rounds are stacked on top of each other like this in the magazine, and they're kind of like sideways on top of each other. And brass cased ammo and like nickel plated ammo, they're really, the lubricity is much higher between the cases, so less friction, so they slide off of each other really easily when the bolt grabs them, pushes them up into the chamber. Steel case ammo has quite a bit more friction between them. And I've definitely noticed this when my guns dried up after I've been shooting a lot on a full magazine on a bolt lock, so the bolt is hooked to the rear, like just drop the magazine, I put a new mag in, hit the bolt release, and it catches up because there's too much friction between the lip of the magazine, because there's two lips, the bullet's pushing there, and then there's another case pushing there. So there's friction between those, and the bullet's got to come between those two things by the bolt. So can introduce a little more friction. Would I bet my life on the steel case ammo? No, I don't stock steel case ammo for my my stash of ammo. I got nice stuff for that. But for training ammo, I'll gladly shoot steel case all day long in my guns with cheaper barrels. So I won't shoot bimetal jacketed ammo in my scars, because the cost of a replacement barrel is almost $1,000. So I would have to shoot a heck of a lot of ammo to save $1,000 in order to replace that barrel. So I'll shoot the steel case stuff that has copper jacketed projectiles, the stuff that won't stick to a magnet, because that doesn't erode your bore like the stuff that'll stick to a magnet. So I will shoot the steel case in my scars, but not if they're a bimetal projectile. Only the all copper jackets, because the cost of the barrel is just too high. It doesn't make sense, mathematically speaking, right? And then you got brass case ammo. So brass case ammo, it's going to put the least amount of wear on your gun, but the cost is the highest. So right now with the rebates, earlier this year, there was a bunch of rebates from Federal where you could get down to 23 cents a round ship, 24 cents a round after the rebate and shipping. You can't beat that, honestly. That's going to be a really tough argument to shoot steel versus that price of brass. And somebody in the comments asked me about specifically for their LWRC DI gun, should they be buying brass or steel first time gun owner. You can't get a replacement LWRC barrel from what I've been searching unless you find somebody that's selling one. I don't know. Maybe you can, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find one in 15 minutes of searching Google, looking around. I couldn't find replacement LWRC barrels that are fluted. And so if you like the look of that barrel and you don't want to put premature wear on it, again, 7,000 rounds in a short period of time is what they did to shoot the barrel out. Let's say a normal Colt M4, normal ammo, maybe 10, 12, 15,000 you could put through it. So ratio wise, where you're going to shoot the gun out anyway, I think at a slower rate of fire, you might get 10,000 rounds out of it. So that's kind of the trade-off. If I have access to outdoor ranges, would I shoot the cheapest steel stuff in my LWRC? Yep, I will. If I have to replace the barrel because I shoot it out, big deal. If I don't get a fluted barrel, big deal. Don't really care. I'd rather save the money on the ammo, personally. Or buy the stuff with a steel case that's got a copper jacketed projectile. That stuff right now is like 23 or 24 cents a round. So let's talk about at 1,000, right? 1,000 rounds of the stuff that'll wear out your barrel fastest is like 220, and you're paying like 240, 245 for the stuff that steel case, but it won't wear your barrel. That's kind of right in between like brass case and then the steel with non-magnetic and then the magnetic with steel. It's kind of almost right in the middle from 20 to 30 cents. So that's and that's the stuff I'll buy to shoot my SCAR because I don't want to wear the barrel out prematurely. I think that covers it. That's kind of how I go about thinking about that question. And now, especially if you have an AR-15 like a Daniel Defense or something BCM where you can just buy a replacement barrel instead. Like the fluted LWRC is kind of a funny one because if you like that fluted barrel and you like the way it looks and want to make sure you keep that barrel as long as you can, then maybe shooting the bimetal jacketed projectiles isn't for you. That's I guess how I would rationalize it. But if you could buy a BCM barrel to throw back in your gun, I don't see an argument to not shoot the bimetal jacketed stuff, honestly. Monetarily speaking, I mean, straight up math problem you can buy several barrels by the time you shoot your barrel out with the money you saved. So it just makes sense to shoot it, financially speaking. Is it dirtier? I don't know. Everything's dirty. Like I shoot 5.56 loads and they're dirty. The DI guns are just dirty. 5.56 is just dirty. There's a lot of whatever. It's blowback around the bolt and everything. So gun's going to be dirty no matter what. If you shoot lacquered ammo, like steel case ammo, maybe you'll get residue in your chamber. I don't know. If you clean your gun, big deal. Like another reason I won't mind shooting steel case is because it could cause my gun to malfunction. So that's good. It trains me on how to deal with malfunctions while I'm shooting. If my gun malfunctions, I have to go through the steps to get the gun working again. So maybe that's a good thing in training, because then when you start shooting brass case stuff, you'll have a less likelihood for malfunction, but you'll know how to handle it if it comes up. So whatever. So that's kind of how I rationalize this and how I think about it. So let me know if you got any questions. Hope this helps some people out. And again, we got to let YouTube know we care about gun videos. So do all the stuff. Click, click, click. Thank you. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.